Hello, our dear viewers, and most welcome to yet another evening. Indeed, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I am actually rejoicing in my heart. This 25th day of June 2023. Who would have imagined that we would have been here? I mean, the year began just the other day, and now we are here. So I'm excited to be hosting this show tonight. And I'd like to welcome every last one of you to be with us and to be part of this show. And of course, enjoy, even as we enjoy having a beautiful, amazing conversation this evening. So today is yet another day for Occupy Today on Hope TV Kenya. And I'm hoping that you will sit back. You will sit back and enjoy the show with us. I am actually enjoined by two amazing people. And I'm sure you'll be part of this conversation and you will really partake of it as I do the same. You know what? It's really, really exciting. And I'm hoping that you're excited just like me. And I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Kajuju. I consider myself a growth coach. And I'm looking forward to really this conversation. And I'm hoping that you also are looking forward. We've been waiting for it for a long time. And I can tell you, Ben and Kate, it has been a long-awaited topic today. The topic of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. Why? Because you're a Kenyan like me. And if you're not a Kenyan, then maybe you're in Kenya and you would be sure that there are good things that come from Kenya. So how about we introduce ourselves, Ben? Maybe I can begin with you. Yeah, you're the man in the middle or the man next to me. So go first and then we can have Catherine introduce herself.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Benedict Mbae. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a husband, a father, and I'm a believer, above all things. Thank you so much for having me in the show.
Wow, lovely. Thank you. You're most welcome, Ben. I'll be asking a few questions. I want to hear why this topic is of interest to you because I know you have something that you partake in it, and That is why you're here tonight. Lovely. How about Catherine? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Catherine Ndingu. I am an entrepreneur like my fellow co-person here. And I'm also a trainer who also trains entrepreneurs in business. Thank you.
Wow, lovely. Yeah. Most welcome, Ben and Catherine. I'm excited to host you this evening to discuss this topic on Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. And when you guys say you're entrepreneurs, I am curious to know a little more. So probably we can start with Ben. Tell me, what do you do with yourself? Where are you? If I want to find you on a Tuesday or on a Thursday morning or afternoon, where am I likely to find you and what would you be doing? And then why is this topic of interest to you? Buy Kenya, Build Kenya.
Thanks again, Kajuju. I think I forgot to mention I'm Kenyan also. Or maybe it's obvious. Yes, if you look for me, most likely you will find me in Nairobi. I'm located in Kasarani. As you heard, I'm an entrepreneur. I do packaging and design. And I brag that I speak packaging fluently.
There's a language called packaging, right?
Yes.
You'll tell us a bit more about it. For the chosen few.
Yes.
So what do you package?
I pack the small sugar sachets, salt, pepper, etc. But we are also doing packaging in pouches and many other areas in packaging. And when I say design, is because most of our packaging is private label. We brand for our customers, if it is an airline, if it is a 5-star hotel, if it is one of the top hospitals. And we also design for people also to go to the supermarket shelves and much more.
Wow, packaging. And you package in all shapes and sizes, I can imagine, for all clientele.
Maybe not all shapes and sizes, but we're working on that.
Yeah, you're working on that.
Yes.
Lovely. So why is Buy Kenya, Build Kenya a topic of interest to you this evening, Ben?
I'm very passionate about Buy Kenya, Build Kenya because being an entrepreneur, someone doing packaging and manufacturing in Kenya, and someone who's very passionate in creating jobs here in Kenya, I feel Buy Kenya, Build Kenya is what should be driving this nation and taking us to Vision 2030.
Wow. You'll tell me more about that.
I will.
That sounds quite something solid, comprehensive, that we need to delve deeper, Definitely. And I'm sure this is what the conversation is about tonight. How about Kate? What do you do on a normal day, on Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, where am I likely to find you and doing what?
You are likely to find me in my office on Gong Road Professional Center. I'm on first floor. And you will find me printing T-shirts, designing ideas for clients. If they want to create their image and they want to advertise themselves in terms of T-shirts, polo shirts, things related to visibility. You'll find me there doing that.
Wow.
Separately, I'm also passionate about having Kenyan products that that I like to push. And this is the Kenyan fabric, or what I call East African fabric, and a label I call Inspired by Safari Culture. Inspired by Safari Culture are things like textiles that you'll find in Kenya, Masai shukas, kikois, leso, that speak about Kenya and showcase the culture that we have here.
Wow.
So you'll find me doing those things in an ordinary Monday to Friday day.
So you would shout and sing and talk on top of your voice, buy Kenya, build Kenya, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I believe every Kenyan can do their little thing to advertise Kenya and buy Kenya and build Kenya, whether as a consumer or as a producer. We perhaps may consider that as our patriotic responsibility to do so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, on an earlier conversation, you mentioned that this topic of buy Kenya, build Kenya is more for the government than I'm catching you here, Catherine. And I want to hear, why is it there and not right here, where we're talking ALESHA brands and we're talking your brand? Is it Design 365?
Yes, it is.
Yes, so why is it at that level and not at this level?
Well, I'm not going to say it's not at, I think it's at very many levels. But perhaps what is quite mentioned very much is what probably is put in as Vision 2030, as he mentioned. It is a strategy that the government has put out to Kenya. And if you look at the macro, and I'm not going to get into those technical details, but the whole idea is to increase our consumptions locally. And once we increase our consumptions locally, then our dependency on imports is going to reduce.
Wow.
So the impact is, it's very likely we are going to create jobs, we are going to raise our industries, we are going to get to a level where if we consume what we make, then our dependency on other countries is minimized. And what I found very interesting, it's not only Kenya that has Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, even our East African counterparts. You want to protect your industries so that your citizens can grow themselves in terms of business. But not only that, I don't think it's only about industry, it's also about consumers. It's consumers being very deliberate about purchasing products that come from our country. And in doing so, if you find that the products that are being brought to the country are much better, then I think it's our responsibility as consumers to tell our local industries what they want, or our local industries to find out where they can produce those products. So I'm quite passionate about that, and for me, I find that I like pushing what's created in Kenya and getting to see whether our country, fellow countrymen, or if not, people living within our designation are able to consume our products.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite rich. Ben.
Maybe I can add on whatever my sister said. And I concur with her on the government has a big role in the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, for starters, let's first of all agree that the single biggest consumer in this country is the government.
I hear you.
That's number one. Secondly, the issues surrounding Buy Kenya, Build Kenya fall under the external environment of a business. Because my sister here is not in a position to determine taxes that will befall fabrics. That can be an opportunity or a threat. Those are external factors to her business.
Yes.
And those ones are in the domain of government.
I get
So government, we are not here to bash government. What I'm simply saying is it is the ball is on that court. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
but you have a role in it.
We have a role
as
every
a producer
citizen,
and as a consumer.
Yes, and
because
every
at that
citizen.
level, that is where you are.
Exactly.
Tell me about it.
So myself as a consumer, I would think I'm more conscious because, of course, being a producer in Kenya, I tend to be swayed to buy things that are Kenyan.
Yes.
If I go to a supermarket, even if a Kenyan product is slightly more expensive, or if it's cooking oil and it's Kenyan and there's another brand that is not Kenyan, I am, let's even go for a simpler product that's not even manufactured, honey. If I found Kenyan honey and some honey that is not from East Africa, I am more biased towards the Kenyan honey as a consumer.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about the farmer in Baringo, the farmer in Kitui, Tharaka, etc. Yes, that's how I look at it.
Wow, lovely, lovely. How about as a producer? What are you doing to
Yes.
ensure that this word gets out there and it favors your business? However much we're saying that at that level, the government is responsible in such a big way, but you as a producer, and especially because you have items that are produced in Kenya and that you want the Kenyan market to consume it.
Thank you. One of the products that we do in our company is the small shampoo, shower gel, lotion, soaps that you find in hotels. When we started our company in 2013, all those products used to be shipped from China. And we used to bring container after container every few months. And there's still people in our line of work who import everything.
Yes.
Along the way, I asked myself, must we import each and every item? So we started as now, because I'm answering as Ben, and as ALESHA Brands, we started by, first of all, components. Maybe we cannot produce the tube here at that time, the LDPE tube, but we could produce the lotion, the shampoo, and the shower gel. So we stopped importing we started importing the bottles only and filling them locally.
With your, yes.
Slowly, I think some other people got word and other people started doing it. We have now producers doing the hotel soaps locally here. So in our line of work, you can do almost everything to what was not being done 10 years ago. And I think I pride myself as in the hotel space as one of the pioneers who believes we do not need to import packaged sugar or packaged small lotion or soaps from Dubai or from China. We can do it here.
We can actually do it here.
Yes.
Wow, our dear viewers, I'm really hoping that you're with us because this is getting very interesting. And it is for you and it is for me because the moment we commit ourselves to buying Kenya and building Kenya and supporting every one of us, including consumers and as well as producers and the government as well, it means that our industries will grow. It means that our industries will thrive. But it takes you and me to even contribute to conversations that would go on in terms of policy and other areas that would influence our industry. So sit back, relax. I know some of you may be very small entrepreneurs in your spaces, but I want to believe that there is a way you can contribute to this conversation. So bring on your questions, bring on your comments. We are here for you, and we're looking forward to interacting with you even as we do this 1 hour of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. Catherine.
Yes.
Tell me, are there challenges that you have seen in this space in terms of you producing and the locals do not want to purchase your brand? They'd rather go for a gift item that has been produced from out there. And how does that make you feel as a producer? I wonder.
That's very true. In the line of business that we are in, it's all about image. And image is exuded in the kind of products that you're going to either give away or you're going to sell that will reflect on your brand. And sometimes you find that we don't have the capacity to produce high quality products. The industries here are probably not up to that level in terms of textile, in terms of finishes. And when those demands come, you're not left with a choice. And you know, it's a market where the client demands what they want. And they'll look for it where they need to get it.
I know.
So if they're going to look good in terms of their branding and they find that the local setup is not able to meet that standard, then they will import.
I know.
And those are some of the challenges that we face, where we find that our industries have not reached to the certain level that we find our clients are. And it's a global village now. So you find that it's just a click of a button and you're able to get the kind of merchandise you want from another country. So unless perhaps we come up in terms of the areas that we have, or decide to approach it differently and say that instead of taking things that are of high value that are coming from other countries, perhaps look at your local context and see something that is found in the country and cannot be found abroad, and use it in terms of your corporate branding or items that we use. So for me, I find that even as much as we are able to import, my urge to my clients is, even as you're buying your products or decide to import, look for something that has a significance in this country that cannot be found in another country, and you're able to push it in terms of your country. Yeah.
Whoa, okay, great. And we actually have those articles here. We have those items here, right? Many,
Absolutely.
and especially because we have a natural setting that has still not been interfered with. It's quite virgin, looking, I mean, comparing ourselves with the other jurisdictions that have completely been depleted, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Great,
That's true.
lovely. How about you, Ben? What have been the challenges? What have you observed in terms of you're trying to push your brand, but people would rather bring these things from another jurisdiction?
I don't want to personalize it and make it a Ben or ALESHA Brands affair. And I want to keep adding to what my sister is saying. Sometimes it's not that even Kenya has a lesser product. You find an example, coffee, which I'm not in the coffee sector, but lesser or inferior coffee coming to Kenya, while we have one of the best coffees, but simply because it's cheaper and for many other reasons, or because somebody somewhere wants to dump the cheap inferior product here. So when we say buy Kenya, build Kenya, we are not telling people to buy an inferior product. We are not telling people to buy a product that they don't feel, or we are not forcing a product on them. I would also like to add, we need to look at buy Kenya, build Kenya in a bigger perspective, not just our pocket-wise. And I'll give you a story on Corona. But as we approach that, we fund Kenya Army, okay, it's KDF now, a lot of money, billions of money, if you see in the last financial bill. And why do we do that? It's because Kenya has to be secure and we have to guarantee our own security. We cannot outsource our security to another country.
No, we can't.
The same way, we have to be medical and medical sufficient. We have to be food sufficient. Where we are heading, we are outsourcing or we are exporting, I think that's the word, exporting our food sufficiency to somebody else. Even our neighbor Tanzania is producing for us now more food. Uganda is producing for us sugar. Brazil is producing for us sugar. Now, if you end up having a situation like whatever happened during COVID, whereby everybody now is holding back whatever they produce, nobody wants to share, and you killed your industries. I'm saying that with a lot of confidence because without being very technical, the GDP, the contribution of manufacturing to GDP from the year 2016 has been declining from 10% to now about 7%. What simply that means is if you cannot sustain double-digit numbers, 10% and above, your industries are dying a slow death. And somebody joked a few months ago that we are slowly Kenya is turning from Kenya Association of Manufacturers to Kenya Association of Importers. That is the truth. We say it as it is. And if we move from 7 and the day we reach to 1, now we will have to change the name.
Kenya Association of
Importers.
No, I will not even say it. What needs to be done to change this trajectory? I wonder. And let's not talk about things that are a bit too superficial. Maybe we should talk about things at our level. Is there anything that needs to be done at your level, Kate, at your level, Ben, as a brand, a local brand, that can change this trajectory? I wonder.
Yes.
There is.
Yes,
there's something that can be done, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I want to say there are challenges that are making people import things. From where I sit, we are trying to improve our production process to produce better products and to be more cost effective. From where I sit, I see one of the challenges of why people sometimes are forced to import or why factories in Kenya become importers instead of manufacturers is because they focus on a small market here in Kenya. We are only 52, 55 million people. If you look at now whatever East African communities, including DRC Congo, we are talking of almost 200 million or more people. So if you look at a bigger market, you are able to produce for a bigger market. When you produce, you enjoy economies of scale. Your cost goes down, you create jobs, and you see, now that's not government. Government has done its bit by signing the protocol and bringing DRC on board, which was really wonderful for the local manufacturers. There's a lot we can do, improving our efficiency, improving our processes, everybody improving on our honesty, because we have a problem, honesty as a nation. We are not a very truthful nation. I hear there's somebody somewhere called a truthful man, but the country is not very truthful. So I can go on and on, but there's a lot in terms of efficiency that needs to be.
Whoa.
I'll give an example. I've seen very many I'm in Kasarani, and I have neighbors who I won't mention their names, but some of them have put up solar. The whole roof is solar. So this person, the issue of saying electricity is expensive in Kenya is not there anymore.
No.
Because now he's using the sun, which is free. Yes, and
Wow.
unless they start taxing the sun.
Oh my goodness. I hope we're not going that road, Ben.
I hope
It
not.
will not be good. Not be good at all. Kit, what must you at your level do so that then we're changing this narrative? Otherwise, we'll keep talking, we'll keep saying, you know, things are happening this way, and yet still there is something at our level we can be able to do.
I think as a producer, it is my responsibility to know what the consumer wants and needs. It's not enough to set up an industry and say that government must give me business, must procure for me, and must use my AGPO. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
So even if you're going to supply with government, we as manufacturers have a responsibility to meet the demand that is there in the market. And to look at it simply, like in our business, if my client wants a good polo shirt, I have no business giving them a low quality polo shirt.
Can say that again.
If we go to, say, the guys who make the metal boxes, if there are specific dimensions that are needed, there's a specific color that is needed, there's certain loops that are needed, handles that are needed, just provide that and keep perfecting on what you're doing. If you have better ideas listening to your customer, then do it, because that's how industries go. Industries cannot grow in themselves. We cannot grow as a vacuum. But it's putting a ear to the ground and knowing perhaps what they are not saying, but what they need. And say in my industry, like I was talking about corporate branding, I worked in an industry where it was very big on building Kenya. And one of the challenges they had is that even as they import these giveaways from other countries and they go to international fair, you can imagine importing things from Dubai, and then you go to Dubai and you find that the manufacturers are there, and there you are championing Kenya. And therefore you miss out on an opportunity to take something that is of African heritage.
Yes.
And building Kenya, we can say building Kenya, producing Kenya. There are many other resources that we can talk about. Even when we see our athletes going there, it's building Kenya.
That is true, definitely.
In the way they're doing it. When we see people come to the marathon, it's building Kenya. There is a transaction, there's an industry behind all that is happening. And that creates a lot of confidence in the kind of products that we have. And therefore, even as a consumer, I would be more interested to support my fellow Kenyan, even in the challenges that are going on. And I also feel that even as we are consuming, it's good to give feedback so that you don't give unfair competition in terms of, you can see a fellow Kenyan is making a product that may not be up to the standards that you want. Go ahead and give feedback. Because in giving the feedback, it's the way they are going to improve or understand the areas they're coming from. And even us in the industry, take feedback positively, because the person who is giving you feedback is a person who has the money.
Indeed.
And it has a ripple effect. The more we grow our local industry, I heard that if we are heavy on importers, then we have a heavier dependency on the currency that comes to us.
Indeed.
But if we are able to churn the money around our economy, then it reduces the dependency.
And we strengthen our currency, right?
And we strengthen our currency.
Definitely.
And what would be the impact? You will find that industries will grow. The children that we want to grow in our nation have a better chance of a livelihood. So it's a whole system, it's a whole value chain that we're talking about. So buying Kenya, building Kenya is much more than just industry. It is actually a livelihood, and it is a change that we can execute in our lifetime.
I hear you.
So for me, when I listen to that statement, it should evoke a lot of hope. It should evoke a lot of patriotism, let me just say patriotism, because we have people who are doing that for us.
Yeah.
And every one of us can do their little bit in order to make our lives much better just by supporting the person next door.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Oh, wow. I love the way the conversation is going. You guys are rich. You're rich with experience. You're rich with the knowledge, and where you have been has exposed you to see the possibilities and see what needs to be done. And I'm really hopeful that our dear viewers, you're there, and you're also reflecting on some of these things that are coming out, because it takes me to make the difference. Because, you know, oftentimes we can blame the other person, we can blame the government, we can blame the systems, we can blame this and the other, we can blame even our next door neighbor. But when we own it and we own the process and we make the changes that need to be done, for example, Kate talking about the improvement that we need to do in our production, and being aware also of the needs of the people we sell to, our customers, and really having a listening ear to feedback and to gaining insight on what exactly they need. I think the difference comes right here. So I would want to urge you to bring on your questions, to bring on your comments. The SMS line is 222-32. Please send in your comments, send in your questions. I see your question, Jackie. You're asking, what are the obstacles of our economic development? I know you know Jackie, Ben. Jackie Kimaita, I see your question, what are the obstacles of our economic development? And I'm hoping that we can bring on that even as we go on with our topic of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. And I am just here to ask, even as we do this at our level, are there obstacles, unsurmountable obstacles, things that anyway, we've done all there is to do, but this one there's not so much we can do about?
First of all, there are no unsurmountable obstacles. There's no mountain.
Yeah, you
so
said you're
big.
a believer, right?
Yes,
I know where you're coming from, Ben.
There's no mountain that is too big.
Yes.
But we have to accept that there are obstacles,
Yeah.
especially in the macro environment. There are challenges, especially the things like the cost of electricity is very high in Kenya. I'm not complaining about my household. I'm talking about comparing Kenya with Ethiopia or Kenya with Uganda. And I'm not comparing Kenya with China. Kenya with our next door neighbors. Our cost of transport is too high. Our cost of transacting money is very high. The other day I checked in my business, the cost I pay for charges, withdrawing from the bank, moving money from M-Pesa, that is like another employee I have somewhere who I pay more than everybody. Those are transactional costs. So some of these things need interventions which are at a higher level, not more than us. But there are obstacles, yes, we cannot deny, and we are here to keep overcoming them.
You know, Ben, as you talk, I'm wondering, now that you said there are no unsurmountable obstacles, and yet you're telling me that they are at a higher level, but you're the same one who's telling me these ones we can deal with them. And I'm wondering, what is your role? What is my role? Because I think we have a role to play in all this.
We have said, for example, electricity is expensive.
Yes.
People are going solar.
Yes.
Myself, I've already done 2 solar panels, and we are working.
Yes.
Maybe in the next 10 years, I'll be independent, and there's another power company that I hear of. Maybe they will be a backup for me. You see, I've surmounted it in my own. I've dealt with the challenge. Now I'll be using the
innovation.
I've talked of transport. People are coming up with electric vehicles.
Yes.
People are coming up with delivery models. There are companies which are doing deliveries more efficiently. For example, in our company, we don't do deliveries countrywide. We do deliveries countrywide, but we don't do it with our vehicles because there are people who are able to do it more efficiently than us, and it's cheaper. So I'm a keen believer in improving systems, improving and being more and more efficient. Yes.
Whoa, okay, great. And I really love the way we are moving, but can you imagine we have to take a break? We have come to the midway of this show. We take a break, and once we're back, we can carry on with this very rich discussion. I'm hoping that our dear viewers, you're there and you're not going far. Grab your glass of water, sip it, even as you enjoy the rest of this show with us. We are here up till the end of this hour, so sit back, relax, and enjoy with us. Looking forward to see you after this very short break.
Every time you hear it, then you know it is time for your news updates.
With carefully prepared, unique content to not only update, but to also inform and engage with you.
As opinion shapers, we will endeavor to have factual national dialogues to discuss on news that matter to you.
Bringing you guests that are authoritative in their respective fields for cutting-edge conversations.
Traversing different parts of the country to bring you feature stories that highlight issues affecting you and the society at large.
We bring you reports from current affairs to politics to technology, farming, business, and many more.
For all county, national, and international happenings, tune in to News Watch every day of the week at 9 p.m. only on Hope TV.
Thank you. Thank you very much for keeping it right there. We are glad that you're still with us. So we continue, and I begin by asking Ben and Catherine, the dollar is doing so badly.
It's the Kenya shilling.
Oh, it's the Kenyan shilling that is doing badly.
Yes,
Thank you for that. Oh, the dollar is doing very well, but the Kenyan shilling is... Okay, thank you for that correction. Is a big one anyway. Now, how has this affected you, Kate? Has it affected your business in any way?
Yes, it has, of course, positively and negatively.
Yes.
Positively because Build Kenya, Buy Kenya, it can also work in a different way. I believe that we can export our products out there, and therefore, if we're able to do the exporting, then it will be beneficial. But when it comes to importing the raw materials, then you find that now where sometimes prices were being quoted in Kenya shillings, it's now being quoted in dollars because the dollar is more stable. And what does it do for your business? If the dollar was at 138 and now it's at 140, what does that mean to your bottom line? It means that on every rising of the dollar, it means that my cost of materials are going to be affected adversely. And sometimes you can't push this price to your clients. If you have an LPO or you have a long-term contract and you're meant to hold the price maybe for 3 months, then during that 3 months and you're not able to purchase all the material you need by that time, then you're going to lose just by simply transacting on the same LPO that was the same. So you find clients who keep asking you, are you holding the price? And if you're not able to hold the price, we go back to bidding. So it's normally a difficult decision to see whether you're going to take in the difference or it will reach a point where you decide, well, this is not.
Might as well, I might as well release this one.
I might as well release this one. But in the kind of business we are in, we are also doing a little bit of exporting. So it also works favorably for us when we do the transaction. Then what we had quoted in $1 maybe a few weeks ago, and we convert it back to Kenya shillings, then we have a benefit to it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious as you talk to know whether you import any of your raw materials as a business. Do you?
No, actually I don't. But we have suppliers who import, and therefore you find that before you make any purchase or before you give a quotation, you must first speak to your supplier. Definitely. Because you might find that the price that was holding maybe 2 weeks ago is a different story altogether. And very few suppliers are willing to pick up the cost of currency.
Wow. Okay. Ben, do you import anything?
I import and I also export. So with the dollar, I'm on both sides.
Just like Kate feels that.
Yes. So in my business, packaging, we have a lot of machinery. And this machinery is imported. But I might import a machine maybe once or in 3 years. but the spare parts are imported on a very regular basis. Some of them cannot be produced here. They have to be serviced by the manufacturer, whether it's in Germany, in the UK, or in China. So it's a challenge. When I bought a spare part for $300 and that was 30,000, and I'm going to buy it again and it's 50,000, and my prices are constant. I have some few customers we sell to who we sell to in dollars outside the country. And of course, we smile all the way to the bank at that level. However, I look at it from a very broader perspective. Kenya is a net importer. We import more than 10 times what we export.
Yes.
And that's a major challenge. And again, I want Kenyans again to look at it from our sovereignty. We are not a sovereign country if we have to import all our medicine. We are not a sovereign country if medical equipment, military equipment, agricultural food, that if somebody somewhere decides we are not eating, if somebody comes and puts an embargo on the port of Mombasa on our ports, or even some of our neighbors, if they decide they are not selling to us grains, we become stranded as a nation.
We starve.
Maybe we will not reach the point of starvation, but it's very unfortunate. So away from the small Ben I am, there are 52 million Kenyans who are looking at a bigger picture, and we have to reverse it from being a net importer to a net exporter. And this requires the efforts of everybody, from the man in the hill to me in my house. I have to buy the tissue that is Kenyan. I used to love when we used to recycle paper and make tissue. Right now, they import something called, there's something that they import, which from it they are able to press the tissue. And that is Forex just going like that. In fact, we are flashing dollars in the toilet.
I tell you, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, there are things you should not be importing, and it is not my place to say everything, but you should not be importing things like food that you consume. Because every day you eat, and your stomach every 3 hours is asking. So your stomach every 3 hours is asking you for more dollars. Every few minutes, you are unwell. You want more dollars.
More dollars.
You want to move. We have oil in Turkana, but we still have to import petroleum products and so many things. So we are in a tricky situation. We are held hostage by some currencies, but we can reverse. It's not. I said no challenge is in some mountain.
I hear you. I hear you. It feels like I should have had a third person in this conversation, the government. But yes, while we're at it, let's do what we have to do. And I'm hoping that somebody somewhere will hear this and things will get better even as we move on. But I know, because we are in the space of, if we're not micro, we are small, or, yes, MSMEs.
Yes.
So what is the role of these ones in this conversation? Buy Kenya, build Kenya. What is their take? How should they even position it? What should they do? Where should they align to, so that then this, as much as we are saying it's a call to patriotism, and I know the government is the one driving this agenda most, but I'm sure there's the role of SMEs in all this. So what is their role? We can begin with you, Kate.
I think SMEs can come up together. I know there's Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and I know they even have an SME wing where they're able to support them. So that they're able to talk about policies or to understand what direction they need to take in terms of what they need to do. But not even to forget the micro. And I know we call them informal, but informal doesn't mean that they don't generate money and they don't contribute to this economy.
They do.
But you might also find that they're playing a very big role in buying Kenya, building Kenya. When you find a guy at Karioko, or where I am at Gong Road, these are people who are churning the economy, and they're doing their part in it. They are building furniture, they are doing their metalworks, and it's up to us to see what they have. And like I said, if we feel that this is inferior, I think it is our responsibility as consumers to say, and perhaps have the PPP. I know government has bodies where they help SMEs or micro improve their products, if they are able to reach to them, or just help them to get equipments or machinery or industries that would make them improve on their product. But even if you're going to import 5 things, at least make 2 local.
Locally,
I mean, just be deliberate in terms of helping, because we said it goes a long way. If I spend 10 shillings on the person next door, and even if it's in agricultural inputs, when we are talking about what's being produced by the person next door, or even you go to the market, that is money that is getting into the economy in whichever way we say. And I don't think in the economy we can say there's too little, but if all of us did even that too little, then it just circulates around the economy.
That's true.
And that person will be able to grow that section. So building economy, like I said, it could be build Kenya or produce from Kenya, make from Kenya, talk from Kenya. I mean, it could turn to be anything. It may be the macro that we're talking about. It could be the next level where we are saying that even as we are pushing policy, we are pushing government, we have to have the voice.
Indeed, indeed.
And we have organizations that do that. So the push can also come from under. It can push from the demands. It can push and say, I know we say that a lot of SMEs, if you ask them what do they really need, I think what really comes to, and my experience with what I've seen, the first thing is money. But sometimes it may not be money.
It's not about
it. Could be just understanding what the trends are, what your consumers really want. And we have very good examples where we have really grown Kenya. We are talking about the ICT, we are talking about mobile money. You can see what has spun out of one product. And so we can align ourselves to see how we can build Kenya. And I think every one of us has a role that we can play, either as a consumer or a person who is building this country. Because that's what happens in other countries. When you are in this country, don't be a spectator. Do something.
Sit on the table.
Sit on the table. And like I said, if you're going to buy 5 things, make sure that perhaps 3, keep increasing the number if you had not considered. If it's in terms of clothes, you may take the other items, but perhaps you may decide, like many government organizations or companies, and say that Friday is a day that I'll wear African. Now, if all companies did that, what would that do? That is still building Kenya.
Definitely.
We are talking about your neighborhood tailor, who over time, if you give her business, she will have the impetus to try and make a better dress tomorrow.
Definitely.
Depending on what we dictate.
Yeah.
So it can be churned around, and I know even developed economies have grown that way. It starts with us. The push can either come from the man on the hill, or the push can come from the guy in the valley. So all of us, I think, have a responsibility. It is a value chain, and it is a chain where every one of us needs to be there. And we can only be as strong as the weakest link.
I hear you.
Let us not, as a consumers, be the weakest link. Let's support and see how the industries can grow. It may not be overnight, but the cogs and the churning of the wheels can start with us as consumers. Wow. But I'm not also removing myself out of that equation. I'm a consumer, and I'm also a producer.
Yeah.
So I'm also very conscious about where I also purchase my items. And even for me, as I purchase, then let me make sure that even as I'm purchasing, I also take into consideration the local manufacturers in the products that I have. See what I can do to them and make them have a value for money for my consumers. Government is talking about making sure that majority, is it 30% of suppliers should be Kenyan?
Kenyan, yeah.
Even us in the SME space, we probably need to do that, where we are able to support. And even us who are consumers, 30% can be Kenyan, what is found in our house.
And it can be. It is something that we can work on, really.
Yes.
Yes, and Ben, I'm actually, as Kate talks, I'm wondering whether you have a voice. ALESHA Brands, do you have a voice? She began by saying that the way would be for us to be together in, groups as SMEs and talk one language. Do you have a voice?
Yes, as ALESHA Brands, we are affiliated with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are also affiliated with the Association of Practicing Entrepreneurs of Kenya. We are also affiliated with Kenyan Association of Manufacturers. And I would like to congratulate those organizations because they have been championing our rights. Sometimes we have to go all the way. When I say we, is as manufacturers and producers, to court to get injunctions and all this, and or sometimes to lobby parliament to amend some laws or county governments. And they have been doing a fantastic job.
Wow.
I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the biggest Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, as my sister said, is the small SMEs. They're the ones doing metal boxes, they are doing nice wooden things. And I also wish again to concur that from where I sit, if people in my company are buying safety boots for our staff, they buy Kenyan because they are here. If we are doing lab coats and dust coats, they are available in on Jogoo Road and in town.
Yeah.
We get them branded by people like Kate. And we as a, before we shout in the rooftops about government and other people not doing enough on Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, we also need to make sure we need not just to stop at 30%. We can do more than 50%
I know.
of Buy Kenya. I said I do packaging, for example, like the salt. We strictly pack Kenyan salt. The sugar, we have challenges. We don't have enough Kenyan sugar in the market. Some of the sugar comes from our neighbors, especially on the west. And but I always love when I call my distributor and he tells me he can deliver 200 bags of Kenyan sugar because it's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot you can do.
I know. And besides that, I think there are areas that we need to improve on even as now producers. One of them being quality. And you alluded to this when you were saying that one of the things that would make somebody go out there to get another product is because the quality they're getting here is not good enough. What are some of the other areas that producers need to look at in getting a worthwhile product on the table for a local consumer to have no other option than to buy this one? You get what I'm asking? Yeah. What are some of the other things that we need to look at besides quality?
I think we can
I know
brainstorm on that.
is
One of the
big.
things is prices.
Yes, prices.
Sometimes you're shocked when you go to buy coffee from a coffee producing area and it's more expensive
Yes.
than the one that is, in fact, it's the same product that has gone somewhere and come back and it's cheaper.
And it's cheaper.
And you don't even understand the mathematics behind it. Huh?
Yeah.
The value chains are also a bit complicated. We can improve some of the value chains.
Yeah. And what comes with that? When you talk about value chains, is it convenience? What is it?
For example, in some of the companies here, but that is slowly coming to an end. You could not go directly to the factory and buy a product. You have to go to you have come to Nairobi. You're told there's a distributor in Bungoma in a certain, and you can only go there, and the price there is fixed.
I see.
So we need to stop being very rigid. We also need to promote even the small. Like countries like India grew by encouraging the cottage industry. It did not come from top to bottom, it came from bottom up. So if you're able to produce that thing from your house, if you're able to produce that soap in a small way, because I really admire some people doing natural soaps and all these natural lotions from the back of the houses. And I also like to congratulate government through agencies like KEBS. They are certifying even people who are in their homes. If you're producing natural soaps or lotions, they will come up to the home as long as you're meeting the standards. And that's a step in the right direction. Not everybody who can be in a big warehouse in industrial area. Some of, even us, we started small in our little ways. We started from home and slowly we make big steps.
Towards the right direction, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we are almost coming to the end of this, and I want you guys to do a parting shot, rich enough to tell this entrepreneur who's wondering, where do I even begin? I mean, I have seen people bring in things from out, and I don't have my space. Where do I begin as a local producer of, say, like you're saying, from the kitchen, I'm producing my peanut butter, but I can see there are other brands that are coming from out and people seem to love these ones and they seem to have established their niche. Where does this young, very enterprising person begin, and how do they begin seeing the light at the end of the tunnel? We can begin anywhere.
Okay.
And maybe as you do that, Ben, you could just tell us how do we get you if anybody just wanted to get in touch with you?
Thank you very much. So again, I'm Benedict Mbae. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a mentor and a certified entrepreneurship coach. I got into that because I get so many people coming with questions. And one of the things I always tell them is, and this is something somebody told me also, progress before perfection. You need to start somewhere. Even if your soap is not perfect, start. I'm sure my sister here will say, well, the way she started is not where she is. So if we start, we will keep improving. That peanut butter can be better. Maybe it was a bit, with some particles, it can get smoother and smoother and smoother. And
by the way, people love the rougher one. For your information, Ben.
Thank you for the heads up. So progress before perfection. Secondly, we need to look at it as a sovereignty also issue in a bigger picture as Kenyans, not even as government. And I had a very long drive over the weekend, and somebody, as you were driving, told me, you are either on the menu or you are the one serving. So if you're on the menu, you're the one being eaten. So as Kenyans, we don't want to be the one, the big people from these other bigger countries, they are eating us as their lunch. Yeah? There was a time, if you met trucks going to the west or going to the south, it was Kenyan trucks exporting, and they were even coming back empty. Right now, unfortunately, the trend is starting to reverse. You find we are moving to go and take things from even our neighbors. But there's a lot we can do. I admire, as a parting shot, I admire what countries like Ethiopia have done in leather. If you go to Ethiopia, the shoes, the leather belts, the handbags, they're made in Ethiopia. They've made big strides in that. There's a lot we can do even in our own businesses, as we said. We can improve efficiency, we can improve quality, we can improve pricing. We can also buy, even us, we can buy more Kenyan. Even if I said the government is the single biggest institutional consumer in this country, that is 1 versus 52 million consumers. We ourselves, we can buy more in our homes, etc. So people can find me on Twitter at Ben Gikunda, and people can, our businesses, especially ALESHA Brands, has social media handles. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you, Ben. Most appreciated for being here tonight. Catherine?
I think I'll start with a parting shot. As an SME or a person in the industry, or even for all of us, is think global, but act local. Just in the production, have a mind of the global world and the trends as you're producing. Don't work in a cocoon, and don't think that you're entitled to anything. You need to do the heavy work, and you need to work towards that. And he talked about many things, pricing. Let us learn how to do it. Work with other entrepreneurs, find out what's working. I know I work with an association which we call Ubunifu, and our objective is accessing markets. And we do a lot of capacity building just to understand. So don't be lost in doing your own thing in terms of an SME. Also get work with KEBS, work with Keproba, the Kirdi, yes. So
they're also doing a fantastic job.
They're also doing a fantastic job. Engage government. Government may not come to you. They will come to you for certain things, but it's also time for us to know.
Go say hi to KRA. Don't wait for them to come to you.
I know.
Yeah, actually the best thing is go to them.
Yeah, go to
because
them.
when they come to you,
Kuji na uzuri. Go say hi.
Yeah, so I think it's just a change of attitude. Like I said in the beginning, my name is Catherine Ndingu. You will find me at Ngong Road Professional Center. The company is design365.ke, inspired by safari culture. I believe we have beautiful things that we can showcase in Kenya. We have marathoners, we have flowers, we have handicrafts. There are many things that we can sell and buy Kenya.
Yes.
Thank you.
I believe in that, Kate. I really believe that Kenya is beautiful, and we have skills. We may not even have discussed skills. We have amazing brain. I mean, when I listen to you guys talk, I know we can
the human capital in Kenya is really
amazing. You know, we have a lot that we can take out there. We must not bring it in. And so, Oh, imagine, time is gone, just like that. But anyway, we've had a really good moment, and I'm hopeful that our dear viewers, you've been with us and you've journeyed with us and seen the possibilities and seen what it is that you must do, both as an entrepreneur but also as a consumer, because we have to really build Kenya by buying Kenya. So how about you think through it, reflect, and see what is your role in this one. It is my role, it is your duty, it is the duty of all of us. And if you can plug in wherever you are, just like Kate said, you must not do the whole of it, but there is a bit that you can do. And I'm sure at the end of the day, Kenya will be a beautiful and amazing, blessed country, because you and I have done what God would have wanted us to do. So with that, we come to the end of our show tonight. It's been amazing, it's been real, and I'm so grateful that you have kept it right there. So looking forward to seeing you next Sunday, same time, same place. See you. Kwaheri.